What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Ordinary Freaks. B and Eddie here, and today we have two special guests, founders and sisters of La Finca Coffee House. Lizeth and Janeth, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So, we want to start off right away with La Finca Coffee House. What is it to you guys, and what can people expect when they walk in the door?
To us, it's our family opening its doors to the public. What can people expect when they walk in? They can feel welcome, they can feel appreciated, because we are doing this with their experience in mind. Like, we want them to feel like they're getting a little part of Mexico and a little part of our family all in one.
For sure. You're going to hear me say this maybe once or twice throughout our conversation, but it really is just like an open collaborative space. You know, it's meant to include everyone and everybody. You know, it's the intention behind it is to just have a place for people to collaborate, to communicate, and to be able to enjoy a really good cup of coffee.
Right. So for you guys, it's definitely more than just the coffee.
It's more than just the coffee. Yeah, it's our culture, and that's such an important part of who we are, our identity, how we were raised in Milwaukee. You know, our heritage has always been kind of like kept as a very important part of our identity and who we are. So for us to be able to share that with the community that we kind of grew up in is a big deal for us. You know, it's a very, very moving experience for us to be able to do that, and it's been really great so far, I think.
Dope. And besides that, people, I mean, this is one of my favorite coffee shops. You guys find horchata drinks, like tres leches, everything. So definitely, you know, it's a collaborative space, and I know, I've told you guys before, I get a glimpse of home and my culture as well. But don't get them wrong. The coffee is like amazing here as well. So, you know, I love coming here.
So let's take it back a little bit. And we wanted to touch on kind of like what you guys were doing previously. I mean, obviously, like the sister dynamic, you know, the sibling dynamic is very different in every single family and household. But like, what were some of the things that you guys were focusing on prior to like discovering, you know, this newfound venture?
So before I was, after high school, I was working in the immigrant rights movement, learning and absorbing as much as I could through the opportunities that were given to me. If you would have asked me back then, would you ever own your own business? I would have been like, no, no. But somewhere along the lines, I kind of liked the idea of being able to give back, being able to do something more that I couldn't find. And I not to say like I think I can do it better, but I wanted to give what I could, as much as I could. So I was learning, I was traveling, trying to sharing my story, trying to find what it was that I wanted to become. I did a lot of like bookkeeping kind of jobs, kind of got into that realm, and I learned a lot about business development, the startup, working with like the IRS, things like that, to make sure that we were foundationally sound. And with all of those experiences, I went to her and I was like, hey, you want to do this?
Yeah, I was like, no. No, I had a very different experience. So I was raised with the very important idea that I had to go to school, get a degree, get a career, because my parents didn't have that same opportunity, and it was just like ingrained into me. So I held and hold education as a very like high priority in my life, you know. So I graduated from Thomas More High School, damn near top of my class, not to brag, but thank you, Dad. And I went to college. And I'm currently working, it's going to take me forever, but I'm currently working on a neuroscience degree, because I felt at the time that was the way to success. You know, my parents were immigrants and I'm an immigrant, and that was to me like education equals success. And then Liz came up with the idea that, hey, it doesn't have to be an education. You can start your own business and see what that does for you. And I thought she was crazy. Like, I had worked in the service industry before, so I knew the level of work that it takes. Like, service industry jobs are tough. And I could only imagine at that time, like, owning your own business is like 100 times what I felt working, like, as a bartender. It's crazy. So she comes up with the idea, and I was just like, no. It's like, it's not going to happen. Like, you're romanticizing the idea completely. You've never worked in a restaurant. You have no idea what it's going to be like.
Yeah, right.
And so there I am, like the realist, like, no, this is going to be a lot of work. And she's like, well, we can do it. It's fine. So we went for it. went for it.
I think that kind of touches on our dynamic
Yeah,
a bit.
for sure.
I am ideal.
Yeah.
I am a romantic at heart. I love to see, like, my dad recently told me, he's like, you've always been the type of person that just kind of paints your own world. And I like, this year I was like, whoa, you're right. And I never really like thought about it before, but that absolutely defines kind of where I am right now. I will take a problem, I will take some kind of thing and just figure it out, and I'll map it out, and I'll think about it and say, okay, this is how it can be solved, this is how it can be better, this is how we can work towards it. And I tend to float away, but she is she grounds me. She's like the ribbons to all of my balloons. She holds them together. And she will, I think it's a good dynamic to have. I lift her up, but she'll bring me back down when I need it.
Yeah, I'm very much more like the realist and the skeptic, which works. It really, really does work. It's hard working with your sibling. I don't know if y'all have ever done that.
I mean, it's hard living with them.
It's hard living with them.
Working
It's
with
so
them.
weird because when you're in like a professional setting, you want to try to work things out in a very specific way. Like when you're at work, you have a problem with a coworker, you talk about it professionally, you have a filter that you put up. You don't have that with a sibling.
Right.
Like there's no filter. It's been really, really difficult. And it was strenuous at first, but we got the hang of it. And we've gotten to a point where, we're okay. It's working now.
I'm the tolerant one.
Yeah. Oh, she's so patient. I am not patient. I'm not patient at all. But I'm learning.
So how much convincing did it take for this to actually get going?
Like opening day is when I realized that. Yeah.
Wow.
That's when it hit me. I was like, oh my God, we have a coffee shop. Like it was literally opening day. And I also think opening day was the first moment she realized how hard it was going to be. Yeah, but it took that long.
Yeah.
So, it was good. It was a win-win situation.
For sure. Yeah.
And now you want to see it.
It was funny.
Because our opening day, I expected maybe like 20, 30 people to walk through the door. We were packed. We didn't have enough seats for everyone.
Wow.
We had a line out the door.
So much stuff.
We ran out of like everything because, again, I was like, no one knows we're out here. We didn't really market that much because we wanted to test the waters.
Yeah.
Word just traveled, and it was such a hectic day. And I was like, this is what the restaurant industry is like. That day we both kind of found each other.
Gotcha. That makes sense. So you guys talked a little bit about having to convince each other, but I know both me and Natty, when we chatted with you guys before, really loved the essence of the coffee shop and where it comes from, the story behind it, La Finca, right? Can you guys touch a little bit more about that and how the seed was really planted to begin this venture?
Yeah, that part was actually one of the parts that we've always been on board with, like in unison. So we had the chance to visit my grandfather for the very first time, my dad's family, my dad's side of the family, 2 years ago. They're from Oaxaca, Mexico. And it was a very surreal experience to be able to go back to Mexico for the first time. Like, we were both brought over when we were very young. Liz was 1, I was 1, she was 3. And we didn't know anyone, we didn't know Mexico, we didn't know any of that. The only things that we knew were the bits and pieces that my parents shared with us. So it was incredibly surreal and eye-opening and heartwarming to be able to visit that side of the family. And for them to receive us with such open arms was a blessing, honestly. So we went, we stayed for about 3 weeks with family, and my grandfather shows us what he does with coffee. So the farm itself has been in the family for about 5 generations, and we always knew about it. We always knew that our abuelo ran a finca, but we never really like got to see it or experience it firsthand. So we tried some of the coffee when we were down there. And that's actually where the idea of the space, you know, kind of came about, because in Mexico, coffee culture is very kind of like a shared time with your family. They set aside a time in the morning, in the evening, where you literally like sit down with somebody, have a cup of coffee, and you talk about whatever it is you want to talk about, whether it be work related, not work related, something that's going on in your life. But it's a very special kind of like separate time from your day that really gives you a break and allows that connection with another person. So we wanted to incorporate that here. Take time from your day, enjoy a different space where you can connect with somebody on that level and collaborate with them on whatever it is. So we brought back some coffee from Mexico that my grandfather gave us, shared it with a bunch of people, all the coffee lovers that we knew, and everybody loved it. Like it honestly has a really unique flavor to it, not just because we sell it or because it comes from our family's farm, but it's a really, really great quality coffee. The altitude that it's grown at is not found in most coffees that you can find around here. At its lowest point, the finca lies at like 1,600 meters above sea level. So it renders a really, really good quality product. Everybody loved it, and then Liz ran with the idea of the shop after that.
It was, I remember we were sitting in my great aunt's house, and I don't drink coffee. But if I go, when we went to Mexico, I drank coffee. Like, I'm not gonna disrespect my family by not drinking their coffee.
Right.
Were you like super jittery the rest of
I was. I get really anxious. But so I remember sitting with them, and it became like an every evening thing. Mm-hmm. We would just sit and talk. They wanted to know more about us. I had never spoken to my great aunt before that occasion. I had Skyped with my grandfather maybe like once or twice, but we never got to see him in person. And we were able to both travel through advanced parole. Yeah. It was such a great opportunity. I remember as we were flying over Oaxaca, like we were just holding hands and like crying and just feeling like we were home, but also not our home. Yeah. But it just felt beautiful. And when we landed, we were just like breathing in the air. It felt magical almost. It was a perfect trip. I celebrated my 23rd birthday there, and my grandfather and my great aunt sang to me, and I just had tears flowing down my eyes because I never had that opportunity.
Mm-hmm. I was crying too.
Everyone was crying. And it was just like I don't know, going around, we would always have my dad on video chat. Yeah. And he would be like, whoever we were meeting, he'd be like, "Hey, these are my daughters."
As if he was there. Yeah.
As if he was there, and it was, I don't know, it was a very just heartwarming experience, and a lot of those experiences we wanted people to have here. Mm-hmm. We wanted people to come in and feel like they were at home, being able to meet up, catch up with an old friend, and we get to see it. Like when people like grab one of our mugs with their cup of coffee, like I see them like smell it right away, and they light up, they wake up, they go sit down with their friend, or they give them a hug, and they're like, "I haven't seen you in forever. I'm so glad we could meet here," and just exchange a couple words. That was our intent in opening up the space. We could have done something smaller. We could have just tried to sell our coffee, but it was more than that.
So would you say the light switched over there, or was it like you kind of just got back inspired and? I think we got
inspired. I do, I get the moment every now and then, but that one took a while.
Did it? Okay.
One, because we were still processing how we were feeling. We were trying to figure out, how can we go back?
What kind of a job lets us go to Mexico every week?
But I remember this was it was almost a year later, of having gone through all of that, that we were sitting at another coffee shop. And again, I don't drink coffee. And she was like, "I want to go try this Mexican mocha somewhere." Mm-hmm. And so we were sitting outside in their patio, and I just saw this for rent sign across the street on a building. This was in Bayview. And I looked at her and I'm like, why don't we start a coffee shop? And I gave her this whole spiel of like the feeling that we get. We can do Abuelo's coffee, we can promote him. And she's like, no, like that's too much. We don't have that kind of like resources or any of that. And I'm like, I will figure it out. And I am for like 3 months, 4 months, I just researched everything I could about the industry. I wrote out a plan. I presented it to her, and I remember her like disbelief. She's like, "You wrote this?"
Yeah, because that was another thing. Like I was a coffee drinker, but I didn't know like anything about coffee. I didn't like know how to make any of the drinks. Like, and then she comes with this idea: let's open up a coffee shop. I was like, I don't know how to do any of that. Why?
Right?
Yeah, exactly. It was weird.
But I think that I don't know. Like every now and then, like you get these little. Everything starts falling into place. Yeah. The more we learn, the more we like pick up ideas. We meet so many interesting people that give us their ideas. Like it's just been uphill from here.
Oh yeah,
but a good uphill.
Yeah. And we're always open to suggestions. I think that's one of the things that we quickly adapted to. Like people are very quick to let you know what they think, which is great for us because we're very receptive. Like if someone doesn't like something or if someone would prefer something the other way, I'm quick to change it. Like you're the one drinking it, you're the one consuming it, you're the one experiencing it, so I want it to be the best thing for you. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that like with us in the podcast, like we always say like give us constructive criticism, we want to learn from our mistakes.
Exactly.
And like the first 3 episodes we quickly learn like either from family members or just like like people like sitting, like back, they were like, dude, you say one specific word every single sentence, or whatever. So then, you kind of learn how to switch it up. Like,
exactly.
Interesting. And just like, same thing, right? With like collaboration and everything. Like for us, I think is like, that's our main thing. Like create these friendships, create that community, and like share the stories with everybody else. And hopefully that creates more momentum.
Right.
So then we like, it's just a wheel, right? That we just keeps turning. So yeah, we feel the same way.
Yeah.
I just thought it was just a quick question. How does your dad feel now? Like, I'm sure he's come to the space plenty of times, but has he ever said anything specific regarding it, or?
I mean, the obvious is that he's proud. He's really proud of everything that we're doing. Again, because we're his daughters, but because a big part of him raising us was him highlighting our culture as part of our identity and who we are. So for us to come up with something like this and to be happy sharing our culture, I think that's really what hits him the most. Like I said, when we were in Oaxaca, he lived out our trip vicariously through us. So I think this just kind of continues that, it's more of a pride thing. But he's been a very active participant in helping us build this business. He's our main contact for everybody in Oaxaca. And he is a very handy person. He built those pergolas that are inside of here.
Gotcha.
He built my counters. He's really, really, really cool. Yeah, he's good at a lot of stuff, and he's just happy to be a part of it, I think.
I bet.
Yeah.
So with that, and obviously you guys are doing an amazing thing for your family and keeping up that legacy. But we want to touch on maybe one of the things with running businesses is at least the first year, right? There's that quote, famous quote that most businesses go down on that year because there's just so much adversity against small business owners and the competition out there. Obviously, this country's a coffee-driven world and caffeine's everywhere. Can you speak on some of those adversities that you guys might be facing with bringing, you guys have, I think, something really special in the city that no one has, that it's you guys are literally cultivating your own bean from family members. So is there what's one of the things that stick out to you guys as far as struggles that you guys face?
I think we've been pretty lucky in the sense that we have a very tight niche. And that is a word that I learned that you need to have if you want to be successful. You need a niche. For us, it's our funny. I'm not trying to profit off of our identity, but the more I highlight it, the more receptive people are, and it's been working great for us. I almost kind of see it as a vulnerability. I'll tell my story to anybody that wants to listen. And I think that the more they get to know us, the more they get to see that this is like an infrastructure of who we are. Niche is important. We have faced some challenges. Funding is always a big challenge, especially being that it's just us. You know, we still work on the side. She has a part-time job working in the restaurant industry still, so that we can still remain afloat outside of La Finca. Marketing is such a monster to me. We do everything ourselves. There's so many details to it, but like, we're big on social media. We try to share little stories on Facebook, on Instagram. People love pictures, people love commenting. We want to be able to like create little stories around that, so that's why we chose to push through those avenues. I would love to be able to just say like, you know, here's X amount of money so that we can reach as far out as we can, but it's not realistic. So that's a huge challenge, deciding where we want to market, who and how. Most of the business has been word of mouth, so that's also just been great for us. What else? I
don't know. I think outside of the adversity, though, like, one of the things that I've noticed a lot in owning a small business is that people genuinely want to support you. Like, if they see that you're trying to do something that is special to you, and you're like Liz said, in a vulnerable way, sharing it with them, they are very down to support a local business. Most of the customers that we get in here are members of the community. Like, they've lived in St. Francis for years, and they're just excited to have a place that's like locally owned and open and running, and they've worked with us on so many things. Like, you know, we're owner operators, so we're the only ones that are here all of the time, and they know that, so like they feel for us, and it's like almost like an extended part of the family that is supporting you in return for, you know, you being here all the time. So, you know, in spite of the adversities that we've faced, we also have a lot of support from the community, which is great, because that's why we're here. You know, we're here for the community. So for them to be able to in turn support us has been phenomenal.
When it comes to the business side, so going from an idea to researching everything about the industry and coffee, you know, how big was the learning curve for both of you guys when it comes to coffee? And I also want to touch on the resources available, you know, for anyone out there that has an idea, that wants to create something, whatever it might be, especially being, you know, women and Latinas. I know there might be a little bit more challenges, you know, compared to you or someone else in this world. So can you guys touch a little bit on that aspect of the business?
So one resource that tremendously helped us out was the Wisconsin Women's Business Initiative Corporation. When we did our initial research as to like how to obtain funding, how to like, because with the licenses, filing with the state, I did all that. I remember when I did it, I was like, "Oh, we're legit now," and she was like, "What? Like already?"
We don't even have a space yet.
But they were really helpful in terms of like resources, like what should I be looking at, where should I be looking for either like the business plan, a budget proposal, things like that. You need to sit down and really type out all these numbers, type out all of these ideas, put them on paper, because if you don't have something to look back to, something that like that you can kind of like keep redrafting, keep rewriting, I feel like you're eventually just gonna lose that aspect. And it's really important. Like anything new that we do, I'm always like, do you have a budget for this? Where is the template? Where is the Excel sheet? Like I need to see those numbers. I can't approve something if I don't see any potential either success or damage down the line. And WBIC has amazing resources for that. My loan officer, I remember when we were first doing this, I was on the phone with her every day, every single day. And I'm sure she maybe got sick of me, but I was like, I don't understand this. What does this mean? Or what do you need? What I need to know more. And they're expanding. They're doing a lot more. They have this really amazing portal that gives you like all these tools to be able to run your business efficiently. They have all these amazing classes. I used to take a bunch when I ran another business before this. I remember taking a marketing class, how to design my own website, just very simple things. It was like, how can Wibig help you? Your idea, like starting your idea, like writing it out in terms of like a business plan. What does that mean? What information do you need? And who is your audience? Who are you presenting that proposal to? That's also really important. And that's having that experience with them the first time. I felt very comfortable going to them a second time and showing them what we had. They loved the idea. They have their own coffee shop too. So it was very like, she was really open to show us kind of like how they're running things, so that we could get some experience too. And also one of my favorite partnerships has been with Anodyne. They're the ones that roast our coffee. When I first got communicated with them, I remember Steve was the guy in charge. He was like, hey, let me show you our operations. Let me show you the machines that we use, so that you become familiar with them. You get to see how we roast coffee. That was super cool. Just being able to walk in there and like kind of feel like part of it was like, we're gonna do this. And then they did training too. Aaron trained us on the espresso machine, showing us how to steam milk properly, how to count to make sure that the espresso isn't too bitter, isn't too sour. Like, we went through all of that with them, and that was, I mean, it's valuable experience.
See, my biggest learning curve has been that side. Like, Liz had the experience before, running a business and knowing the analytical business side of it, and I never did any of that. Like, I was vaguely familiar with spreadsheets and certain things that you can do on a computer, but that stuff is like, I'm still learning. Like, if I have an idea for her, like for a proposal, like she said, I'm usually just the kind of person to like bring up the idea, talk about it, and let's do it. And like, that stuff is just like over my head most of the time. So she's patient with me, and she's like, no, Janet, you have to get a spreadsheet. You need a budget for this stuff, and you don't have all the money in the world. So you have to count this out. So that part's probably been the hardest part. Because everything else that, like you pick up as you go along, you get to the menu and stuff, you know what flavors you're familiar with, so you can create from there. That stuff wasn't that difficult, but spreadsheets and budgets, not for me.
You guys do everything, all the business side.
Yep.
Yeah.
You guys created the menu, everything, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So yeah, like just bringing up the menu, like I want to talk to you guys about that. Like, being that you don't, touch any of the coffee itself, but like, I'm assuming, like, who comes up with the menu itself? Is it a collaborative effort between like customers, or is it just like Janet herself, like just working through everything?
Janet is so quick to like put some food together that will taste amazing, and I'm like, that should be on the menu. I love being a taste tester. I'm a huge foodie, but I don't know like the concept of like food.
You just like
on the plate that looks great and it tastes amazing. But yeah, like all the drinks, all the combinations, that's all her. She like overnight, and it wasn't overnight, but it felt like that, because one day she was like, I'm done. I'm like, cool. But yeah, it was all her idea on every aspect of the menu.
Yeah, that dynamic.
It helps. It really has helped. Yeah, it's worked so far. And her not drinking coffee inspired a whole non-coffee menu. So we've got a lot of like no coffee items for our coffee shop. If you go, usually it's just like tea, but we've got like tea lemonades. We've got a whole bunch of stuff, and it's because she doesn't drink coffee.
Yeah.
We got a segment of questions that we like to ask our guests, but before we move there, do you guys have anything that we didn't talk about that you guys want to touch on?
No, I mean, well, one thing that I'm really, really excited about, we are currently using coffee from the new harvest season. In February, I had the opportunity to go to La Finca, and I got to pick the cherry bean from the stems and kind of see the whole process of where coffee is made from. And they do it in such a traditional way. It's hand-picked, laid out in the sun, raked in the sun. Like,
Okay.
they don't use pesticides. It's organic. It's natural. Like, it was really cool to be a part of that. And this is the freshest coffee that we could possibly have at this moment. It was harvested in February, and we're using it right now. We just roasted it with anodyne. We roast it like on a weekly basis so that it's fresh. I've gotten some comments already. People are like, wow, this is smoother than what I remember. And also, like, in the morning when I'm grinding coffee, they're like, that smells phenomenal. I want that. So if anybody, you know, that listens to the show wants to come check it out, now would be the great opportunity for that.
Awesome. All right. So we'll move to the first question. So what advice would you guys give to someone, high school, junior, senior in high school, don't know what their next move is going to be? I think a lot of us have been in that position. You guys mentioned education. For me, that was kind of school was kind of like a must. Someone didn't know what to do, came up to you guys. What advice would you give that kid?
I tell them that you're really not going to know what to do until you try something. You know, that was a thing that held me back a lot when I was at that age. The not knowing what I'm going to do for the rest of my life was really daunting, especially to someone like me that held education in such a high regard. Like, I had friends that knew what they wanted to do. They were going to be doctors. They were going to do this, engineers. And I was just like, I don't even know what school I want to go to. Like, it can be a really scary time of your life, especially at that age when you don't really know. So it's okay to not know, you know. Right. You're going to grow from the experiences that you live, and just be free and welcoming to those experiences and be ready to learn, because that's what this is about.
We have an 18-year-old brother now that's just starting college in a couple of days. I'm
taking him to his dorm room tomorrow. Like, I'm ready to cry. Yeah, I took him to his first day of high school, his last day of high school, and now this, breaks my heart.
Did you take him throughout high school?
Every now and then. He went to Thomas More too,
Okay.
so
yeah. But what I told him was, because he was very indecisive, and with my dad can be a little rough. He's definitely tough. Again, highlighting education as a priority. But I told him, I'm like, we love you no matter what you do. Just don't do nothing. You know, whatever's out there, ask questions. If you feel like you like something, pursue it. If it doesn't work out, at least you tried it, you know? There isn't like, you need to do this now. It's just finding a rhythm and keep going at it. Eventually things will fall into place, things will make sense, and you'll have figured it out by then. And I think that that's really important. You don't need to constrict yourself to I need to do this now, I need to figure it right now. There's so much time to learn, to make mistakes, to figure things out. And I think that's important to highlight.
Yeah. That's such a hard lesson to learn at such a young age. Right. It's hard.
Yeah, so many people are still learning it, and I feel like you're still going about life, and maybe this is not what you're going to do every day, but no, I agree. Oh, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah.
It's going to take over all the questions over here.
That coffee's working.
What I tell you.
What's the best advice you guys have gotten? It doesn't have to be the same one, but what's the best one for you guys individually, and why?
My favorite one that I actually inscribed on an iPad once.
She's like, what?
My dad told me, La inteligencia en la humildad son compatibles siempre y cuando la humildad vaya primero. Intelligence and humility are compatible so long as humility comes first. And I think with the way, like, when people meet me, they're like, are you shy? I don't think I'm shy. I'm reserved a little bit. I'm quiet. But I always keep that in mind when I meet people. If I'm doing something important, the thing that terrifies me are networking events. I try to think of those. I try to think of that when I go try to meet people. But I think that's a very important phrase, and I try to live by that every day.
I don't know if it's like a phrase or not, but the importance of like balance in life is probably the one that's stuck with me since I was a kid. There's so much stuff that you deal with on a daily basis throughout your life. So many things that are thrown at you that you just got to deal with, that you learn from. So it's so important to try to maintain some semblance of balance in your life, right? So like your work life, your personal life, your spiritual life, all of that needs to be held at a balance so that you don't go insane. Because we don't know exactly what we're doing in this life, right? We're not trying to get too metaphysical in this conversation, but you want to try to, do something in your life to maintain that balance, because that's what's going to keep you going. That stability is what's going to make sure you get through it. Yeah.
If you guys could have dinner with one person, dead or alive, who would it be, and where would you guys take them?
Oh, where? Oh.
Foodie over here.
La Finca. Well, I'd hang out with Bjork for sure. She's been an artist that I've loved for a very long time. Her music is like poetry. I'd probably take her somewhere in Iceland. I've never been, but that's on my bucket list, and she's from Iceland. So I'd see what place she recommends, and I'd have a 5-hour-long conversation to her about like everything. If she's God, the existence. She's really cool. She's on my list, and Iceland for sure.
This one was hard for me. I have so many people that like I wish I could like just listen to them.
Pick their brain.
Yes,
Yeah.
just like I'll sit there quietly and I'm just like, just feed me.
Yeah.
Feed me information. Like right now, I would love to sit down with Elon Musk and just be like, save us. Like, tell me how you're going to save us. That would be one. Where? I don't know.
Inside of a Tesla.
Well, that's
Take
how
out
we
in
get
the
there.
Tesla.
Where would we go eat? I don't. Oh, I just saw.
Oh my God.
Poor timing. I just saw like the biggest buffet was at like the little, what is that, Caesar's Palace in Vegas.
Yep.
That buffet looks so good. You saw that. I would like to, like, wherever I can get the most amount of options would be great.
Gotcha. Last
All
question.
right, so this is the last question. We asked this question at the end for everybody. We are called the Ordinary Freaks, and that's open to, interpretation to whoever. It means a lot to everybody. But on scale from 1 to 10, how weird are you? How much of a freak are you? And why?
Well, if you talk to the very limited number of friends that I have, I'd probably say I'm pretty weird. Definitely don't conform to most normal standards. I'd say that for both of us. We're both on the weirder side. We don't, constrain ourselves when it comes to, norms, even in conversation, you can get pretty personal pretty fast, and that's not normal. But, yeah, I'd probably say I'm pretty weird. And then what was the second part of that question?
It was just...
That was just how weird you were?
Yeah. Why?
1 to 10? I'd say 10, yeah.
Probably out of 10.
I mean, I like Bjork. Have you ever heard Bjork's music?
I have, but I don't.
It's weird.
Listen to it.
It's like
I've heard
alien
it.
music. It's alien music, and she's like my number one favorite artist. So yeah, I'm a little weird.
Yeah.
You're kind of weird too.
Yeah.
We get along, so that says something.
Yeah, I don't know. I was I don't know. I've always like not liked the word weird, but it is at the end of the day it is weird. I
Freak.
will embrace it.
I hate that one.
Yeah.
Growing up, I always kind of thought of myself as like a misfit, misplaced, I guess, not in the right time.
Typical teenage
Typical
thoughts,
teenager. But yeah, I would definitely, today I would say, yeah, I'm just weird. I'm in the right place, but I'm weird.
That's such a cool thing to be, though.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think being different, being an ordinary freak is such a cool thing to be, because you're thinking outside the box. You're doing different things to include other people, and you're inspiring, and that's what we all try to be in this
Yeah.
world.
Really, at the end of the day, just being yourself, not following everything.
Exactly.
Thank you guys. But before we let you guys go, can you guys please let the people know what's going on La Finca, any events that might be coming up, and where they can find you guys?
Yeah. So we are in St. Francis. The physical address is 3558 East Sevier Avenue. We're very close to Bayview, so if you're in the neighborhood, it's not too long of a drive.
Just follow the lake.
Follow
And
the
it's-
lake.
And if you're not, it's worth the drive.
Yeah, and thank you. Thank you. And we follow us on social media. Facebook is probably the best place to know like what's going on next. This weekend we're actually going to be participating with the Sisters of St. Francis. They're hosting their,
Wine and Vine event.
what year are they on?
This is 10th, I believe.
10th year, I think so, yeah. Wine and Vine event. There's going to be a lot of samplings. You can find tickets on their website. Samples of tons of businesses, tons of beer and wine distributors all over the area, and it's all like free samples as when you go in. So it'll be a pretty cool event. And then towards the end of the month, beginning of next month, we're actually going to be hosting a group from New York that does that's kind of like a, how would you call that, a jarocho, traditional Veracruz music. So they're going to be live music and singing and dancing. We did one a couple weeks ago and it was a big hit. A lot of people really liked it. And this group is a little bit more well known. So it should be a good time too. Again, Facebook is going to be the best place to know when that event is, because I don't know exactly.
Yeah. And then keep calendars open. October 15th, we'll be celebrating our 1-year anniversary.
Nice.
So we are gonna be planning a day-long event. This will be Sunday, October 14th. We'll have cake, tres leches cake. We're gonna have live entertainment, some activities. We're always family friendly, so kids are welcomed. And we just want to celebrate with the community that's helping us reach our success.
Awesome. Well, thank you, girls.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for being so accommodating and coming over here. That's awesome.
We had to.
Yeah.
So thank you, Ordinary Freaks. Another dope episode here with the girls from La Finca Coffee House. Peace.